Whose jacket is this? Don't look at me like that. Answer the question, now. Don't ignore me. Tell me the truth.
Lauryn froze because Yu-chan never raised his voice and never lost control. But now, Seoul's most dangerous man stood in the grand hallway demanding an answer, and her response would determine whether someone lived or disappeared by morning. The whole thing started 30 seconds earlier. Lauryn climbed off the back of Mateo's power bike, laughing as she pulled off the helmet. The evening air was cold, and she was grateful for the leather jacket Mateo had insisted she wear for the ride home. "Thanks again for the lift," she called out as Mateo revved the engine. "I owe you one." "Just get that bicycle fixed," Mateo shouted back with a grin. "Next time I might not be around to save you." He drove off before Lauryn could return his jacket. She stood there for a moment, pulling the oversized leather closer around her shoulders, still smiling. It had been a good day. Her errands were done, she'd made a new friend at the International Community Center, and for once, life felt normal. Then she turned toward the mansion entrance, and saw him. Yu-chan stood at the top of the stairs, leading to the main doors. Perfectly still, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. But it was his eyes that made Lauryn's stomach drop. In 6 months of working for him, she'd never seen him look like this. He'd seen everything. The bike, Mateo, her arms wrapped around another man, the jacket she was still wearing. Lauryn's smile faded. Yu-chan descended the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. By the time he reached her, every household staff immediately disappeared. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. "Whose jacket is this?" His voice was quiet. Lauryn looked down at the leather jacket like she'd forgotten she was wearing it. I was going to return it tomorrow." "Take it off." Lauryn blinked. "Sir?" "I said take it off. Now." The command was absolute. Lauryn slowly removed the jacket. Confusion, and something else. Something that felt like fear, but wasn't quite, flooding through her. "It's just a jacket, Mr. Yu. He forgot to take it back before he—" "Who is he?" "A friend from the community center. He saw me struggling with my broken bike and offered—" "His name?" Lauryn straightened her shoulders. 6 months of working in this house had taught her when to be afraid and when to stand her ground. "Mateo. His name is Mateo. He's a teacher at the international school. He was being kind." "Kind?" Yu-chan repeated the word like it was poison. "Men are never just kind to women like you." The insult landed like a slap. "Women like me?" Lauryn's voice hardened. "What does that mean?" Yu-chan's jaw clenched tighter. He seemed to realize what he'd said, but instead of apologizing, he just stared at the jacket in her hands. "Leave it. Go to your quarters. But I need to return." "I'll have it returned. Go." Lauryn wanted to argue, wanted to demand an explanation for this insanity, but the look in his eyes stopped her. It wasn't anger, it was something deeper, darker, more dangerous. She carefully draped the jacket over the nearby bench, bowed slightly, and walked away with her head held high. What Lauryn didn't know was that Yu-chan had been standing at his office window when the motorcycle pulled up. What she didn't know was that the most feared man in Seoul had fallen in love with his maid 3 months ago and had been fighting it every single day since. What she didn't know was that seeing her with another man had just shattered 6 months of legendary self-control. And what she definitely didn't know was that by morning, Yu-chan would know everything about Mateo, where he worked, where he lived, who he loved, and exactly how to make him disappear if necessary. Before we find out what happens next, let me take you back 6 months. To the day Lauryn walked into Yu-chan's world. To the moment everything started. To the second his carefully controlled life began to unravel. 6 months earlier, Lauryn stood outside the most expensive building she'd ever seen in her life. Her suitcase sat at her feet. Her hands were steady, but her heart was racing. She had $300 to her name, a one-way ticket from Chicago, and a contract to work as a live-in maid for a private household in Seoul. The agency said the pay was incredible. The employer was very private. She'd have room and board. What they didn't say was that she'd be working for Korean Mafia. What they didn't say was that her employer owned half of Seoul's underground. What they didn't say was that her life would never be the same. Lauryn picked up her suitcase and walked through the gates. A woman in a perfect black uniform met her immediately. "Lauryn Michelle?" "Yes, ma'am. I'm Mrs. Choi, head housekeeper. Follow me." Lauryn stepped into her room. It was bigger than her entire apartment back home. She unpacked in 12 minutes. Her first week passed in a blur of learning routines, memorizing preferences, and staying invisible. But on her 8th day, something changed. Yu-chan was walking past the garden when he heard it. Humming. Someone was humming while they worked. He stopped, his hand freezing on the door handle. That melody. He knew that melody. His feet moved before his brain could stop them, carrying him toward the sound. There, kneeling in the garden, was Lauryn. She was replanting flowers that had died over the winter, her hands deep in the soil. And she was humming, no, singing softly, an old Korean folk song his grandmother used to sing. Yu-chan's chest tightened. He hadn't heard that song in 20 years, not since his grandmother died, not since before his father pulled him into the family business, not since before violence and control became his entire world. Lauryn looked up and saw him. She stopped immediately, her eyes wide. "Mr. Yu, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "Continue your work." Yu-chan walked away before she could see his expression. Before she could see that something inside him had cracked open. 2 days later, it happened again. Yu-chan was in his office when he smelled something that made him stop mid-sentence during a phone call. Hot tuk, sweet Korean pancakes, the kind his mother used to make on winter mornings before school, before everything became business meetings and territory wars. He ended the call abruptly and walked to the kitchen. Lauryn stood at the stove, carefully flipping golden pancakes. Mrs. Choi supervised, but Lauryn was the one cooking. "What is this?" Yu-chan asked. Both women jumped. Mrs. Choi bowed quickly. "Mr. Yu, Lauryn asked to learn Korean cooking. I was teaching her. I wanted to understand the food better," Lauryn explained, her voice nervous, "so I could serve your guests properly. Mrs. Choi said Hotuk was a good place to start, because it's simple, but did we do something wrong?" Yu-chan stared at the pancakes. Golden brown, perfect, exactly like his mother used to make them. "No, you did nothing wrong." He left before either woman could speak. But that night, a plate of Hotuk appeared on his desk, still warm, with a small note. "Mrs. Choi said these are better fresh. I hope they're okay. Lauryn." Yu-chan ate every single one, and for the first time in 15 years, he remembered what it felt like to be a child. Safe, warm, happy. 1 month in, Yu-chan stopped pretending he wasn't watching her. Because Lauryn did everything with a lightness he'd forgotten existed. She sang while she worked. Old, happy Korean songs she was learning, and American songs from her childhood. Every single thing she did reminded Yu-chan of a world before violence. Before control. Before he became the kind of man people feared. That night, Yu-chan sat in his office, staring at nothing. For the first time in 20 years, he felt something he thought he'd lost forever. Hope. And it terrified him. Because hope was dangerous. Hope made you vulnerable. Hope got people killed. But Lauryn made him remember what it was like to be human. To sing. To laugh. To believe that life could be more than violence and control. He picked up his phone. "Mrs. Choi." "Yes, sir." "Lauryn. Give her a raise. Assign her permanently to the main house." "Sir, she's only been here 5 weeks. Did I ask your opinion?" "No, sir." "Right away." Yu-chan hung up. He told himself it was because she was a good worker. He told himself it had nothing to do with the way she made him remember his grandmothers. and that was the first crack in his armor. 3 months in, Yu-chan realized he had a problem. He started looking for her. When he came home, his eyes scanned the hallways. When he had tea, he noticed if she prepared it. When he heard her voice, something in his chest relaxed. It annoyed him, distracted him, was completely unacceptable. So he started avoiding her. Different routes through the house, more meetings outside, less interaction. Because every conversation with Mrs. Choi somehow included Lauryn's name. Lauryn fixed this. Lauryn caught that. Her name was everywhere. Then came the night that changed everything. Yu-chan had a traitor in his organization. Someone stealing, lying, putting his people at risk. The man was brought to the East Wing. There was shouting, begging, a warning shot. When the door opened, Yu-chan saw her. Lauryn, in the hallway, frozen. She'd heard everything. Their eyes met. Yu-chan waited for fear, panic, screaming. Instead, Lauryn took a breath, bowed slightly, and stepped aside. Her hands shook, but her face stayed calm. The traitor was dragged past her. Yu-chan walked past her without a word. He waited for her to quit. The next morning, she showed up to work. On time, professional. Like nothing happened, Mrs. Choi asked her why she stayed. Because I knew this wasn't a normal job when I accepted it. Nothing's changed. When Yu-chan heard about it from Tae-sung, he stood at his window for 20 minutes. She'd seen the worst of him. And she stayed. That was the second crack. 4 months in, Yu-chan broke his own rule. He started talking to her. Lauryn always responded the same way. She never flirted, never asked personal questions, never treated him like anything but her employer. And it drove him insane. Because everyone else either feared him or wanted something. But Lauryn just worked. She was kind to staff, efficient with tasks, calm under pressure. She didn't try to get his attention, and somehow that made him notice her more. One day, Yu-chan called her to his office. Mrs. Choi said you needed to confirm tomorrow's schedule. Yes. She went through each appointment. Clear, thorough, perfect. Will that be all, sir? Lauryn. She stopped. Yes? Yu-chan looked at her. Really looked. You're not afraid of me. She considered carefully. I respect you, sir. Respect and fear aren't the same thing. Most people think they are. Most people don't choose to work for you. I do. Why? Because you're fair. Dangerous, but fair. And fair is rare. Something tightened in Yu-chan's chest. You can go. After she left, he sat in silence, staring at the door. And he knew. He was in trouble. Because somewhere between the calm professionalism and the way she looked him in the eye without fear, he'd fallen. Hard. 5 months in, the jealousy started. Lauryn was in the kitchen laughing with Min-jun, one of the younger guards. He was helping her practice Korean. Yu-chan walked past, saw them, and his entire body went rigid. He didn't say anything, just kept walking. But his jaw was so tight it hurt. That night, Tae-sung quietly reassigned Min-jun to night shift. He didn't need to be told why. The second time was worse. Lauryn came back from her day off carrying flowers. Yu-chan saw from his office window. Who gave her those? Tae-sung looked out. I believe she bought them for her room, sir. Yu-chan said nothing, but he watched until she disappeared inside. This third time destroyed his control completely. A man on a power bike dropped Lauryn off at the mansion gates. She was wearing his jacket, laughing. Her arms had been wrapped around him. Yu-chan watched from his window, and something inside him snapped. By the time Lauryn walked inside, still wearing that jacket, still smiling, Yu-chan had already lost it. Completely. Now, standing in her quarters, Lauryn tried to understand what just happened. Yu-chan had looked at her like what? Like she'd betrayed him, but that made no sense. He was her employer, nothing more. Lauryn sat on her bed, her mind racing. No, it couldn't be. Men like Yu-chan didn't fall for their employees, didn't lose control over something as simple as a jacket. Except he just did. A knock at her door made her jump. "Come in." Mrs. Choi entered, her expression unreadable. "Mr. Yu wants to see you. His office. Now." Lauryn's heart started pounding. Did I do something wrong? I don't know, but I've worked for him for 15 years, and I've never seen him like this. Whatever you do, be careful. Lauryn walked to his office, like she was walking to her execution. She knocked 3 times. "Come in." Yu-chan stood by the window, his back to her. His shoulders were rigid, his hands were clenched. "You wanted to see me, sir." Silence. Then, "Who is Mateo?" Lauryn blinked. "I told you. A friend from the community center." "How long have you known him?" 3 weeks. We met at a cultural exchange event. "Have you been seeing him?" "Seeing him? No, we're just friends." Yu-chan turned around, and Lauryn's breath caught. His eyes were black, wild, barely controlled. "Men and women are never just friends, Lauryn." "That's not true. He gave you his jacket. Because I was cold. You had your arms around him." Lauryn's confusion turned to realization, then to something else. Are you jealous?" The word hung in the air like a bomb. Yu-chan's jaw clenched. "Don't be ridiculous." "Then why does it matter if Mateo gave me a ride? Why does it matter if I wore his jacket? Why?" "Because you're mine." The words exploded from him. Yu-chan looked as shocked as Lauryn felt. "I didn't," he ran a hand through his hair. "I didn't mean, I'm yours?" Lauryn's voice came out barely above a whisper. Yu-chan turned away. "Forget I said that. You're dismissed." "No." He turned back slowly. "What?" "I said no." Lauryn's heart was pounding, but she stood her ground. "You don't get to say something like that and then dismiss me. Explain." "There's nothing to explain. You just claimed me like I'm property. Like you have some right to control who I see, who I talk to, who gives me a ride home. Explain that." Yu-chan stared at her, and then, slowly, the mask cracked. "I've been fighting this for 3 months," he said quietly, "telling myself it was inappropriate, that you were my employee, that men like me don't get to have good things. But then I saw you with him. Saw you smiling, saw his jacket on your shoulders, and I wanted to destroy him, wanted to make him understand that you—" He stopped himself. "That I what?" Lauryn pressed. "That you were never his to touch." He took a step toward her. Lauryn should run, should quit, should do anything except stand here staring at the man who just claimed her like property. But her feet wouldn't move. "I didn't—" Yu-chan ran a hand through his hair. "I didn't mean, I'm yours?" Lauryn's voice came out strangled. "What does that even mean?" Yu-chan turned away, his shoulders rigid. "Forget I said that. Is this why you gave me a raise?" Her mind was racing, pieces clicking together in ways that made her stomach drop. Was all of that because you what? Developed some kind of obsession with your employee? Yu-chan flinched. "It's not like that." "Then what is it like? Explain it to me, because I'm standing here completely confused about what's happening." He turned to face her, and the rawness in his expression made her breath catch. "I've been fighting this for 3 months," he said quietly, "telling myself it was inappropriate, that you were my employee, that men like me don't get to have good things." "Fighting what?" "You." The word came out like a confession. "Everything about you. The way you hum while you work. The way you make the staff laugh. You reminded me of who I used to be, before all of this." Lauryn's hands trembled. "So what?" "You developed feelings and just decided I belonged to you." "No. Yes. I don't know." He looked tortured. "I tried to stay away, tried to keep my distance, but then I saw you with—" He stopped himself. I know that's wrong. I know I have no right. But seeing you with another man made me forget every reason why I shouldn't feel this way," he continued. Lauryn's mind was spinning. She thought back over the past 6 months. Wait, her voice was barely above a whisper. How long have you... When did you... The pancakes. Yu Chan's answer was immediate. When you sent Hotuk to my office with that note, when I tasted them and remembered what my mother used to make. That's when I knew I was in trouble. That was 2 months ago. I know. And you've been, what? Watching me? Protecting me? All while I had no idea you were. She couldn't even finish the sentence. I thought you were just being a good employer. I thought all of it was just you being fair. It started that way, he admitted. But it became more. You became more. Lauryn pressed her hands to her temples. This was insane. Her boss, the most dangerous man in Seoul, was standing in front of her confessing that he'd developed feelings. I don't know what you want me to say, she said finally. You're my employer. I respect you. I think you're fair. And yes, I appreciate how you've protected me. But I didn't think... You didn't think of me that way. Yu Chan's voice was flat. I know. No, Lauryn stopped. Had she? She'd noticed him, certainly. But what if it was more than that? What if she'd been lying to herself? Lauryn's voice shook. I need to understand something. When you saw me with Mateo, when you lost control, was that about possession, about ownership, or was it about something else? Yu Chan looked at her for a long moment. It was about fear. Fear? Fear that someone else would see what I see, that they'd make you laugh the way I want to make you laugh, that I'd lose something I never had the right to want in the first place. His voice dropped. I don't want to own you, Lauryn. I want to deserve you, and I know I don't. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something in her chest. This is crazy, she whispered. I don't know what I feel, she admitted quietly. I never thought about you as anything other than my employer, because that seemed impossible. But maybe I noticed more than I let myself admit. I don't know, and that scares me. I'm not asking you to know. I'm just being honest. Finally. I need time to think, to figure out what I actually feel. Take all the time you need. She left without another word. But for the first time, she was willing to find out what this could be. And that terrified her almost as much as it intrigued her. As she walked to her quarters, her mind replayed every interaction over the past 6 months. The smiles, the protection, the small kindnesses she'd attributed to fairness. Lauryn sat on her bed, hands pressed to her face. She didn't know what she felt. But for the first time she was willing to find out. And that terrified her almost as much as it intrigued her. The next morning, everything felt different. Lauryn walked into the mansion expecting awkwardness. Maybe Yu Chan avoiding her. Maybe a termination notice. Instead, everything looked exactly the same. Yu Chan was already gone. Early meeting, Mrs. Choi explained. Lauryn told herself she wasn't disappointed. She threw herself into work, trying not to think about his confession, about the 3 months he'd been fighting his feelings, about the fact that she'd spent all night replaying every interaction they'd ever had. When Yu Chan finally returned that evening, Lauryn was organizing files in his study. Lauryn. She turned. He stood in the doorway, perfectly composed, professional. Mr. Yu, I was just finishing. You don't have to leave. I meant what I said. No pressure. They worked in silence for 20 minutes. It should have been awkward. Instead, it felt strangely comfortable. Over the next 2 weeks, a careful dance began. She caught him watching her sometimes, when she sang, when she laughed, and she started watching him too, the way his shoulders relaxed when she entered a room. The rare smiles he gave only her, the control that slipped only around her. One evening in his study, she asked, "Why Hotuk? Why was that the moment?" "Because you made me remember joy, made me feel human again. That terrified me more than any enemy." Lauryn's chest tightened. "You terrify me too. Not because of what you are, because of what you make me feel. What I'm starting to realize I've been feeling without admitting it. Yu-chan went still. What do you feel? I don't know yet, but I want to find out. It wasn't certainty, but it was possibility, and his smile made her heart skip. Take all the time you need. The shifts were small after that. His hand at her back in hallways, light, questioning. She never pulled away. One evening on his balcony, she said, "You're making people talk. Let them talk. Your associates will think I'm a distraction. You are. But you make me want to be better." For the first time, Lauryn let herself feel what she'd been denying. She reached out slowly. Her hand found his. They stood there, fingers intertwined. It wasn't a kiss. Wasn't a declaration. But it was a beginning. She should have known it wouldn't last. The threat came in the form of a woman. Her name was Min So, and she was everything Lauryn wasn't. Korean. Wealthy. Connected to one of Seoul's most powerful families. And according to Mrs. Choi, she'd been engaged to Yu-chan 3 years ago. Min So arrived at the mansion on a Tuesday afternoon, unannounced, walking through the doors like she owned them. She was stunning, the kind of elegance that came from generations of old money. Lauryn was organizing files in Yu-chan's study when she heard the commotion. "Where is he?" Min So's voice carried through the hallways. "I need to see Yu-chan immediately." Tae-sung tried to intercept. "Miss Park, Mr. Yu is in a meeting." "I don't care. Tell him I'm here." Lauryn stepped into the hallway, just as Min So spotted her. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. "Who are you?" Min So's tone was ice. "I work here." "Doing what, exactly?" Before Lauryn could answer, Yu-chan appeared at the top of the stairs. "Min So, what are you doing here?" His voice was cold, professional, nothing like the warmth he used with Lauryn. Min So's expression softened when she saw him. "Baby, we need to talk. Privately." Yu-chan's jaw tightened. "I'm busy." "It's about our families." "About the agreement." Something flashed across Yu-chan's face, something that made Lauryn's stomach drop. "Fine, my office, 10 minutes. He disappeared without looking at Lauryn. Min So smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Don't get too comfortable," she said softly as she passed Lauryn. "Girls like you are always temporary." The door to Yu-chan's office closed, and Lauryn stood in the hallway, her heart pounding, wondering what agreement Min So was talking about. Mrs. Choi appeared beside her. "You should know something," she said quietly. 3 years ago, Mr. Yu's family arranged a marriage between him and Min So. It would have united 2 of the most powerful families in Seoul, but Mr. Yu refused. Walked away from the alliance, the money, everything. Why? Because he said he'd never marry for politics, that if he married at all, it would be for love. Mrs. Choi paused. Min So's family was humiliated. They've been trying to revive the arrangement ever since. Lauryn's chest tightened, and now she's here. Now she's here. The meeting lasted 2 hours. When Min So finally left, her expression was triumphant. Yu-chan didn't come out of his office for the rest of the day. That night, Lauryn knocked on his office door. "Come in." Yu-chan sat at his desk, a glass of whiskey in his hand, looking exhausted. "Are you okay?" Lauryn asked softly. "No." The honesty surprised her. She crossed the room and perched on the edge of his desk. What did Min So want? Yu-chan was quiet for a long moment. Then, "My family owes hers a debt. A blood debt from 2 generations ago. Min So's grandfather saved my grandfather's life during a gang war. In our world, that kind of debt is sacred. What does that have to do with marriage? Min So's family wants to call in the debt. They want the alliance, the merger of our organizations, and they're using the debt as leverage." Lauryn's blood went cold. "Can they do that?" "Technically, no. But if I refuse, I insult their family, break tradition. It could start a war. So what are you going to do?" Yu-chan finally looked at her. His eyes were tortured. I told her I'd think about it. The words hit Lauryn like a physical blow. You told her you'd think about it. Her voice came out strangled. About marrying her? Lauryn. No, don't. She stood up, backing away. 2 weeks ago you said I was yours. That you'd never let me go. Was that a lie? Of course not. Then how can you even consider this? Yu-chan stood, his expression anguished. Because if I refuse outright, Min-so's family will retaliate. They'll go after my people, my businesses, you. The last word was barely a whisper. Lauryn stopped. Me? You think they haven't noticed? You think they don't know exactly what you mean to me? Yu-chan's voice cracked. If I refuse this marriage, you become a target. The easiest way to hurt me. And I can't. I won't let that happen. So you'll marry someone else to protect me. You think that's what I want. I think I want you alive more than I want you in my bed. The words echoed in the silence. Lauryn stared at him, tears burning in her eyes. You don't get to make that choice for me, she said quietly. I'm not some fragile thing that needs protecting. I chose this. I chose you, knowing the risks. You don't understand what these people are capable of. I will never be able to live with myself if anything happens to you. There was silence for a while, before Lauryn finally spoke up. How much time did you ask for? 2 weeks. Then we have 2 weeks to find another solution. Yu-chan's expression was bleak. There is no other solution. There's always another solution. We just have to find it. What Lauryn didn't tell him was that she'd already made a decision. If it came down to it, if there was truly no other way, she would leave. She would disappear before she let Yu-chan sacrifice himself for her. But she had 2 weeks to make sure it didn't come to that. The next morning, Lauryn did something she'd been avoiding for 6 months. She called home. Her younger brother, Silas, he answered on the 3rd ring. Lauryn? Oh my God, do you know how long it's been? I know. I'm sorry. How's school? School's great. Mum's medical bills are almost paid off, thanks to the money you've been sending. But that's not important. Are you okay? You sound stressed. Lauryn almost laughed. It's complicated. Is this about a guy? How did you... You only use that tone when it's about a guy. What happened? Despite everything, Lauryn smiled. I fell in love with my boss. Okay, that's either really romantic or a disaster waiting to happen. Both. Definitely both. She spent 20 minutes telling her brother everything. Well, almost everything. She left out the mafia part. When she finished, Silas was quiet for a moment. Lauryn, you've spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. Mum, me. When are you going to let someone take care of you? This isn't about being taken care of, isn't it? This guy clearly loves you. He's trying to protect you, and you're planning to run away to protect him. You're both doing the same thing. The observation hit her hard. So what do I do? You stay, you fight, and you let him love you even when it's scary. After they hung up, Lauryn sat in her room, thinking. Silas was right. She and Yu-chan were both so busy trying to protect each other that they weren't actually solving anything. She needed a different approach. She needed information, and she knew exactly who to ask. Tae-sung was in the security office when Lauryn knocked. Can I talk to you? Off the record. He looked surprised but nodded. Come in. Lauryn closed the door. I need to know everything about Min-so's family, their business, their weaknesses, everything. Tae-sung's eyebrows rose. That's dangerous information. I don't care. Yu-chan is considering marrying her to protect me. I need to find another way. And you think knowing about her family will help? I think knowledge is power, and right now, they have all of it. Tae-sung studied her for a long moment. Then he pulled out a file. This doesn't leave this room. Agreed. What Lauryn learned over the next hour changed everything. Min-so's family was powerful, yes, but they were also overextended. Bad investments, gambling debts, Legal troubles they'd been covering up. They needed this marriage alliance more than they were letting on, which meant they had weaknesses, which meant they could be negotiated with. Lauryn left the security office with a plan forming in her mind. It was risky, possibly stupid, definitely dangerous, but it might work. She waited until that evening to approach Yu-chan. He was in his study, staring at paperwork without really seeing it. "I want to meet with Min-so," Lauryn said. Yu-chan's head snapped up. "Absolutely not. Hear me out. No, you're not going anywhere near her or her family. Yu-chan, they need this alliance more than you do. Their family is in financial trouble. If we can offer them something else, a business partnership, an investment, anything, we can negotiate our way out of this. How do you know about their finances?" I asked Tae-sung. Yu-chan stood abruptly. "You did what?" "I did my research. Something you should have done before agreeing to consider this ridiculous marriage. I was trying to protect you, and I'm trying to save us both, but I can't do that if you won't let me help." They stared at each other, both breathing hard. Finally, Yu-chan's shoulders sagged. "You're not meeting with Min-so alone. Fine, come with me. This is insane. Do you have a better idea?" He didn't, and they both knew it. The meeting was arranged for 2 days later at a neutral location, a high-end restaurant in Gangnam. Lauryn dressed carefully. She needed to look like she belonged in Yu-chan's world. When they arrived, Min-so was already there, flanked by 2 men in expensive suits. Her smile was cold. "How unexpected. You brought the help." "Lauryn is here as my partner," Yu-chan said, his voice hard. "Show her respect, or this meeting is over." Min-so's smile faltered, then she gestured to the chairs. "Sit." Lauryn took a breath and dove in. "Your family needs this alliance because you're hemorrhaging money, bad investments in real estate, gambling debts in Macau, a lawsuit in Japan that's about to go public." Min-so's face went pale. "How do you—" "I do my homework," Lauryn continued calmly. "You need Yu-chan's resources, his connections, but you don't need a marriage to get them. And what exactly are you proposing?" "A business partnership. Yu-chan invests in your family's legitimate holdings. In exchange, you drop the marriage demand, and the blood debt is considered paid." One of Min-so's associates leaned forward. "That's not how blood debts work." "It is if you agree it is," Lauryn interrupted. "Unless you'd rather have your financial troubles become public knowledge, I wonder what your other business partners would think." The threat hung in the air. Min-so's eyes were ice. "You're blackmailing me. I'm offering you a solution. Take it or leave it." Silence. Finally, Min-so turned to Yu-chan. "Is this really what you want? Her, some American girl with no family, no connections, no understanding of our world?" "Yes," Yu-chan said simply. "She's everything I want." The certainty in his voice made Lauryn's heart skip. Min-so looked between them. Then she laughed. It was bitter and sharp. "Fine. Send me the partnership proposal. If the terms are acceptable, we have a deal." She stood. "But understand this. You've made an enemy today. Both of you." "I've had worse enemies," Yu-chan said calmly. After Min-so left, Lauryn finally let herself breathe. "Did that really just work?" Yu-chan pulled her close. "You were incredible. I was terrified." "You didn't show it." He kissed her forehead. "You just negotiated with one of Seoul's most dangerous families and won. Do you understand how extraordinary that is? I just didn't want to lose you." "You're never going to lose me," Yu-chan promised. "Never." But Lauryn knew better than to believe everything was settled. Min-so's parting words echoed in her mind. "You've made an enemy today." She just didn't know how soon that enemy would strike. If you're still with us, drop a comment right now. Would you have confronted Min-so like Lauryn did, or would you have walked away? Tell us below, because what happens next is going to change everything. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The attack came 3 days later. Lauryn was leaving the International Community Center after her Korean language class. It was evening. The parking lot was mostly empty. She was halfway to her car when she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. 3 men, unfamiliar faces, moving with purpose. Lauryn's instinct kicked in. She ran, but they were faster. A hand grabbed her arm. She twisted, broke free, screamed. One of the men covered her mouth. She bit down hard, tasted blood. He cursed and let go. Lauryn stumbled backward, her hands scrambling for her phone. Then she heard it, the screech of tires. 2 black SUVs surrounded them. Doors flew open. Tae-sung emerged from the first vehicle, gun drawn. Step away from her, now. The 3 men froze. Then they ran. Tae-sung didn't chase them. He came straight to Lauryn. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, adrenaline making her shake. "How did you know?" "Boss has had a security detail on you since the meeting with Min So. They called the second those men approached." Lauryn looked around. Sure enough, there were 4 more guards spread throughout the parking lot. "I didn't even notice them." "That's the point." Tae-sung's expression was grim. "We need to get you back to the mansion. Now." Yu-chan was pacing when they arrived. The second he saw Lauryn, he crossed the room and pulled her into his arms. "Are you okay? Are you hurt? Did they touch you?" "I'm fine. Tae-sung got there before they could kidnap you, before they could hurt you, before they could use you to destroy me." His voice was shaking. Lauryn pulled back to look at him. His eyes were wild, terrified. "Yu-chan, this is exactly what I was afraid of," he said. "I thought negotiating with Min So would end it, but I was wrong. She sent those men. I know she did." "You don't know that for sure." "I do." He stepped back, running his hands through his hair. "This is my world, Lauryn. This is what happens. People I care about become targets, and I can't protect you from all of it." "Then teach me to protect myself." He stared at her. "What? You have people, resources. Teach me how to survive in your world, instead of trying to keep me out of it." "That's not. It's the only way this works," Lauryn interrupted. "I'm not leaving. I'm not running. So either you help me learn how to navigate this, or you're right. I'll always be a liability." Yu-chan looked at her for a long moment. Then he made a decision. Tae-sung, his second-in-command, appeared immediately. "Start her training tomorrow. Everything. Self-defense, weapons, security protocols, escape routes, all of it." Tae-sung's eyebrows rose. "Sir? If she's going to be in my life, she needs to know how to survive it." After Tae-sung left, Yu-chan pulled Lauryn close again. "I'm terrified," he admitted quietly. "Every day, that something will happen to you, that I'll lose you." "Then feel terrified with me," Lauryn said, "but don't push me away." Yu-chan kissed her, slow, deep, desperate. "I love you," he whispered against her lips. "I've loved you for months. I should have said it sooner." Lauryn's heart stopped, then started again, faster. "I love you too." This time they kissed, and it felt like everything they had both dreamt it will be. The next 3 months were intense. Lauryn trained every day, self-defense with Tae-sung, weapons training at a private range, security protocols, how to spot a tail, how to survive. She learned about Yu-chan's business, the legitimate parts and the shadowy parts he was slowly trying to leave behind. She met his associates, proved herself capable, earned their respect. And slowly, she stopped being Yu-chan's weakness. She became his partner, but there was still one thing she hadn't told him, one secret she'd been carrying since before she even came to Korea, and it was about to destroy everything. The letter arrived on a Wednesday, plain envelope, American postage, her brother's handwriting. Lauryn opened it in her private suite, her hands shaking. Inside was a single piece of paper. "Lauryn, I didn't want to tell you this over the phone, but you need to know. Mum's cancer is back, stage 4. The doctors say she has 6 months, maybe less. She didn't want me to tell you because she knows you'll come home. And she knows you're happy there. But I thought you should decide for yourself. Love, Silas. The paper slipped from Lauryn's fingers. 6 months. Her mother was dying, and she was halfway around the world. That night, Lauryn couldn't sleep. She stood on Yu-chan's private balcony, staring at Seoul's skyline, her mind racing. She had to go home, had to be with her mother, but that meant leaving Yu-chan, leaving this life she'd built. Can't sleep. She turned to find Yu-chan in the doorway, shirtless, concerned, just thinking. He crossed to her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. About what? This was it, the moment she had to tell him. I got a letter today, from my brother. She felt Yu-chan tense. Is everything okay? No, my mum's cancer came back, stage 4. She has about 6 months. Yu-chan was quiet for a long moment, then he turned her to face him. When do we leave? Lauryn blinked. What? For Chicago. When do we leave? Yu-chan, you can't just leave. Your business, your people, can be managed remotely. Tai-sung can handle things here. His eyes were fierce. Did you really think I'd let you go through this alone? Tears burned in Lauryn's eyes. I thought I'd have to choose, you or her. Never, Yu-chan said firmly. I told you, you're mine. That means your family is my family. Your pain is my pain. We face this together. Lauryn kissed him, tears streaming down her face. I love you. I love you too. Now let's book flights. They arrived in Chicago 3 days later. Lauryn's childhood home looked smaller than she remembered, worn down, tired. Her brother met them at the door. He looked exhausted. Lauryn. He pulled her into a hug, then he looked past her at Yu-chan. You must be the boss. Just Yu-chan. He extended his hand. It's good to meet you. Silas shook it, his eyes assessing. You make my sister happy. I try to. Good. Because if you hurt her, I don't care how powerful you are. I'll find a way to make you regret it. Yu-chan smiled. A real smile. I'd expect nothing less. Inside, Lauryn's mother was sleeping. She looked so small in the hospital bed they'd set up in the living room. So fragile. Lauryn sat beside her and took her hand. Her mother's eyes fluttered open. Lauryn? Baby, is that you? I'm here, Mum. You shouldn't have come. You have your life in Korea. You are my life, Lauryn said firmly. Everything else can wait. Her mother's eyes shifted to Yu-chan, standing respectfully near the doorway. Is this him? The man you told Silas about? Lauryn glanced back at Yu-chan. He stepped forward. Mrs. Michel, it's an honor to meet you. You love my daughter? More than anything. Good. Her mother smiled weakly. She deserves to be loved like that. Over the next 2 weeks, Yu-chan proved exactly who he was. He hired the best doctors in Chicago for second opinions. He had the house renovated to make it more comfortable. He sat with Lauryn's mother, listening to stories about Lauryn's childhood. He helped Mateo with college applications. He cooked dinner, did dishes, never once complained. And late at night, when Lauryn fell apart from the stress and grief, he held her. Just held her. I don't know how to do this, she whispered one night. How to watch her die. You don't do it alone, Yu-chan said. You lean on me, on Silas, on the people who love you. I'm so scared. I know. But I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And he wasn't. Lauryn's mother passed away 6 weeks later, peacefully, surrounded by family. Her last words were to Lauryn. Be happy, baby. Let yourself be happy. The funeral was small, just family and close friends. Yu-chan stood beside Lauryn through all of it, a silent pillar of strength. Afterward, as they stood in the cemetery, Silas approached. I never thanked you, he said to Yu-chan, for being here, for taking care of her. I didn't do it for thanks. I know, but you have it anyway. Mateo paused. You're good for her. I can see that now. Yu-chan nodded. I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of her. That's all I ask. They returned to Seoul 2 weeks later. The mansion felt different, quieter. Lauryn stood in the main hallway, feeling lost. I don't know what to do now, she admitted. I've spent so long taking care of her, and now you let someone take care of you, Yu-chan said gently. He took her hand and led her to his private balcony. The sun was setting over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I have something to ask you, Yu-chan said. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Lauryn's breath stopped. 6 months ago, you walked into my life and changed everything, Yu-chan said. You made me want to be better, softer, human. You faced down my enemies, learned my world, loved me when I didn't deserve it. He opened the box. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. You stood by me through negotiations and threats. I stood by you through grief and loss. We've proven we can face anything together. He dropped to one knee. Lauryn Michelle, will you marry me? Lauryn's tears were immediate, happy tears this time. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. Yu-chan stood and slid the ring onto her finger. Then he kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. Yu-chan pulled her close. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me. I could never regret this. Never. Below them, the household staff had gathered. When they saw the ring, cheers erupted. Mrs. Choi was crying. Tae-sung was actually smiling. Even the guards were congratulating each other. That night, they celebrated with the entire household. It wasn't formal, just food, drinks, and people who'd become family. Tae-sung gave a toast. To the woman who tamed the untamable, and to the boss who was smart enough to let her. Everyone laughed and drank. And for the first time in weeks, Lauryn felt light. 6 months later, they were married. The wedding was small, private, just close family and friends. Silas walked Lauryn down the aisle. Mum would be so proud, he whispered. I know, Lauryn whispered back. I feel her here. Yu-chan stood at the altar in a black tuxedo, looking devastating and nervous and completely in love. When Lauryn reached him, he took her hands. You ready for this? She whispered. I've been ready since the moment you made me pancakes, he whispered back. They both smiled. The ceremony was beautiful, traditional Korean mixed with American elements. When the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Yu-chan didn't hesitate. He pulled Lauryn close and kissed her like she was everything. Because she was. The reception was held at the mansion. During their first dance, Yu-chan pulled Lauryn close. Happy? Incredibly. No regrets about marrying into my complicated world. Not even one. She smiled up at him. You're worth every complication. I'm going to hold you to that in about 50 years when you're sick of me. Never going to happen. He spun her, and Lauryn laughed. For a woman who'd come to Seoul with $300 and a suitcase, she'd gained everything. A partner, a family, a home, and a love that had survived jealousy, threats, grief, and every obstacle thrown at them. As the night wore on and guests celebrated around them, Yu-chan pulled Lauryn aside. I have one more surprise. Yu-chan, you've already given me everything. Not everything. He handed her an envelope. Inside were documents, legal documents. What is this? I'm transferring half my legitimate businesses to your name, making you an equal partner, not just in life, but in everything. Lauryn stared at him. You're giving me half your empire. I'm giving you what you've already earned. You've proven yourself 100 times over. This just makes it official. Yu-chan, we're partners, Lauryn, in every way. I want the world to know it. She kissed him, tears streaming down her face. I don't deserve you. You deserve everything, he corrected. and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it. A year ago, she'd been a maid. Now, she was a wife, a business owner, a partner in every sense. And it all started with a jacket. One moment of jealousy that shattered Yu-chan's control and changed both their lives forever. "What are you thinking about?" Yu-chan asked. "About how grateful I am that you lost control that day." He smiled. "Best decision I never made. Thank you for staying with Yu-chan and Lauryn's journey from beginning to end. If their story touched you, if you felt every moment of jealousy, every confession, every sacrifice, then we did our job. Now we want to hear from you. At what moment did you know they were meant to be? Drop your answer in the comments. If you loved this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more intense romance stories where love is dangerous, complicated, and absolutely worth it. Share this with someone who believes the best love stories aren't safe, they're real. And remember, the right person will burn their whole world down just to keep you warm.